Hey there YouTubers, got the Asus TUF Gaming B660m Wi-Fi D4 motherboard, and we are going to install an i3 12100F into it. We also are going to go ahead and show you some of the common case connectors, so I'll actually connect those as well as some of the power supply stuff. Even a case fan we will install, but this is not going to actually go in a case, so they're more for props, but just for you to see those connections being made. We'll also put RAM in, alright, and an M.2. So let's start with our CPU. We're going to pop this open, and then this is going to come back this way. Now I've already got my CPU out of the case. What you're looking for is this little triangle. There is a triangle right here. It's hard to see from the angle, but there's a triangle there on the gizmo on the little plastic cover. If not triangle, you want to be looking, triangle is going to be basically over by the I/O shield, okay, bottom left. So we'll drop this in gently, of course, using two hands. Now I can tell you it's not in there right, and now it is in. So you want to make sure that this guy is solidly in. You can damage pins if it is not, and that is definitely in. Now the old way, you could just put this in and the cover would pop off. At this point, take the cover off, put it aside, drop that down, and I usually, doesn't say this in the directions, but I usually put my finger right about here. You don't want to put it in here because you can pinch it, but you know, right about here on the cover, and then that thing, you can feel this thing dropping down. There is quite a bit of torque on this thing, folks, so it's in. We're going to use the good old stock cooler with this, okay? Other videos I've installed the Noctua coolers with their LGA 1700 bracket. Now, with those, with the Noctuas, I've used a kind of a 5-point thing. That's what the directions say to do. This guy is circular, so doing the 5 points probably not going to work quite the same. We need to bring in our pattern a little bit if we do that. Also, I've already been using this, so orienting these so they properly go in there is another thing that I will do. That when you first get this brand new, it's going to have thermal paste on it, and they should be lined up good. You won't have to screw with it like I'm going to be doing. Alright, so usually about 4mm diameter, which basically, you know, is me eyeballing it. You obviously could put a lot more effort into it, and I'm just going to put a little bit in each quadrant, not too far out though. So there's a lot of other things you could do with the thermal paste. You don't want to put too much on, you don't want to put too little. It's the way that works out. Alright, so our CPU fan header is right here up top, and I don't know if you guys can see it from that angle. Let's rotate it where we've got a little extra light, and I'm actually going to make this connection now. And it's this left one here, or depending on how you're looking at, bottom one. And make sure we got that in there. Okay, so now that we've got that, we can pop these in. Now, this is a case where since I've used this, I've got to make sure these things are ready to pop down. And I always forget this, but there is they need to be rotated a certain way. So we'll find out how that is in a moment. Alright, so I have to lift the motherboard off of this hard surface. You don't want to damage the plastic tips. And then somehow we need to line this up. So one thing about the old style, they were not as wobbly as these guys are. Alright, so I'm going to try and click this in. If I rotate it the right way, it should click. Nope, not rotated the right way. That one was rotated the right way. So I went, was that clockwise? Clockwise. That one may be in there. So one thing about the Intel stock coolers is over time they're just not going to work like they used to. On this channel I reuse these things a lot. This guy does not want to pop down. There we go, that's in. And then occasionally if you've done the other ones wrong, you will find that you'll have to click it again. Like that one feels like it's not in there. So you can feel underneath that it's in. They just don't feel like they're in, folks. Alright, so we have our CPU in. Now I'm reusing a Intel stock cooler. These are a little finicky when you reuse them, and so we're going to hope that we don't have problems. Alright, so because the bottom of this guy is round, I'm only gonna do about a 4mm diameter in the middle of this. If this was the Noctua, which is more rectangular, I would go with a 5-point pattern. So over here we're connecting the CPU cooler to the CPU fan header. On this motherboard there's that one, and if you happen to upgrade to a better CPU cooler, has dual fans, you have the optional one. Alright, so now we're going to try and line this up. Like I said, this will be probably finicky. They work best the first time. After you take them out and try and reuse them, you can have problems. Now we're hoping to hear some clicks like that. Okay, so if you get 4 good clicks like that, you know everything's good. If you don't get those 4 clicks, then you're going to have to do some troubleshooting. I won't waste your time. If I don't get the 4 good clicks, I'll troubleshoot it, and then we'll continue on. That was a really good click, and boom. So it should not wobble, folks, okay? And that thing is on there solid. Alright, now let us look at this M.2, because I'm kind of curious. I have not used one of these little gizmos, only the screws. So we put that down in there, and then this thing has to rotate. Let's see, it looks like it has to clear it, and then potentially that locks it in. Huh. Well, doesn't look like it dropped down far enough. Let's try this again. Maybe you have to go rotate it all the way around. Okay, now it's in there. So we got that in. Let's put our RAM in. Rotate this. So this is a DDR4 RAM. We have 2 sticks, so we're going to use the light gray as it tells you on the motherboard right here and in your owner's manual. This can go in only one way. One side of this is shorter than the other. Over here, this side's shorter. So we drop that guy in there, and depending on the motherboard you buy, sometimes you have to bump both tabs. So then we're gonna usually press down on the side that's fixed, and then this adjustable side, hit that afterwards. Alright, one more time. Short side, short side. Okay. RAM's in. Now when you're troubleshooting, a lot of times folks, start with one stick of RAM. If you've never done this before. A lot of times after I do it, I'll look at both of them to see, do they look level, do they look like they're both in there together. Sometimes you may not click one of these all the way down and it's not going to work. Alright, so this thing is close to the way I want to get it for the video. Now if this was an i3-12100, we wouldn't need a graphics card, right? So maybe we'll grab a graphics card, make all the connections. So fan header, if you had a fan in your case, you know, just like we just did the other one. This is 4-pin. That's going to drop down in there, okay? Boom. Just like the CPU cooler. Alright. Now, for your power supply, this is a 20+4, 24-pin connector. Let's make this so we can see it. And you should be able to read the text just like that. Then you're going to drop it in this tab, match up with that, line those up, and voila. Okay, to remove, press on the tab, and some of these are hard to get out, but that one was easy. Okay, so you need that connection made. We need our CPU power connector done, so let's grab that if I can find it. It should say that, have CPU on it. These are 2 1x4s. So on this motherboard, depending on what CPU you have, this CPU, we don't need anything greater than this, okay? Now if you're putting a Cellphone in here, or Pentium, you don't need anything greater than this. If you're using an i7 12700, or maybe even an i5 12600K, 12700K, 12900F, 12900, 12900K, 12900KF, you'll want to use a power supply that you can connect all 3 of these, okay? So for most of you that are buying this, you just need this connection, okay? For those that have a power hungry CPU, you'll want to connect another one, and boom. Okay, that's how that goes. To remove these, you're going to press on the tab, pop that out. Same thing with this one. Boom. Okay, easy day on that. Now let us go find a graphics card real fast. I gotta find a graphics card. Just so happens we have one. RTX 3060. Just sitting around not being used. Whether this is a good match for this is another story. Alright, so putting a graphics card in, this is PCIe 4.0 card. You'll want to put it in here and not in this one. Alright, and that's going to plop down. Now, notice how I move this to the edge of the counter. You don't want to try and do this while it's sitting on the counter because this has these guys sticking out, okay? So hence why it's sitting where it is. And assuming we can get that in there. Sometimes these go in easier times than others. And voila. So that's in. Hopefully you saw that. Now in this case, this has a 1x8 power connector, so I'm going to basically do like we've been doing with the other connectors. Bring this guy in, and voila. Okay, now we have all the power we need for that graphics card. Okay, to remove it, I'm going to pop that in. Basically I grab this tab, right? There's a tab down here to get rid of the graphics card. We're going to do that. And now the graphics card's out. So what does that leave us with, folks? There's a lot of other things to connect, but we're going to do our case connectors and call it a day. Alright. So, USB 3.0 from your case, okay? If your case has that, you'll have that, okay? And let's rotate this. There's a little notch here, cut out here. This guy, and I'm not going to actually fully insert it because sometimes these things get stuck and it's a pain to get them out. But you have to line that up, press down, boom, that's in, okay? USB 2.0 right here. Alright. Now, those guys are right here on here. And what you have to notice is there's a missing pin here. You have to line that up with this guy. And we would do that like so. Boom, that's in, okay? And to pull it out, you're just going to pull it straight up and out, okay? HD audio right here. Same thing, it is missing a pin but in a different location. Second one, let's see, on the left side, second one from the bottom. And I'm holding the light over here so hopefully you guys can see this. We'll drop that in. You want to come in perpendicular to the surface. Boom, okay? And hopefully that went in without damaging anything. Yep, everything's good. Now, the final ones are the front panel connectors. And this is one of those places where yours truly wishes you had some glasses on them. So I think what I might have to do is just show you which ones go where. Now notice if your thing has a plus minus on it, you have to line that up like it shows, okay? So these are marked a specific way. I'm just going to plug these in one at a time and unplug them. Power switch is the top row, these top two, and it can face with the print to the outside like shown. This guy is your Hdd LED, and this is one of the ones where you'll want to line that up. So it's on this row, you'll want to line it up like the print says, okay, on the motherboard. Alright, you see the print on that guy? The left side's plus, The right side is minus. Above that is the power LED. Same thing, line those up just like it says on the motherboard. Okay, and then that leaves us with the reset switch, which we can put in any old way. So I didn't plug the other ones in because I don't have my glasses and I can't see what that says, but like I said, match up the direction that it shows and you are good to go. So that's all we're going to do in this video, folks. I hope that helped. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.